There you go.
Welcome.
We hope we made you all mildly uncomfortable with those sick offbeat claps.
1 week we'll remember to bring an instrument and actually put some melody in there.
Yes, we will bring an instrument someday.
Not a chance.
Hello, listeners. This is the podcast called Anyone Listening? This is a name we came up with after the first episode. Yeah. So we hope you enjoyed the first episode, because I presume anyone that's listening to this has listened to that one. That one was pretty fun. This one hopefully will be even more fun for anyone listening. It was probably pretty boring. I apologize. We will get better. So, this brings me to... why are we doing this at all? Do you guys have an idea?
We can hear you get triggered about stuff.
I mean, that is sort of a reason.
Is it a reason it's only emerged, 2 minutes ago? But yes.
Get to that later. No.
Yeah.
For me, it's more... I want to get better at things. I'm mic guy, so I'm going to record all of this stuff, and I'm going to get better at that, and get better at talking to people.
So you're into the technical side of audio recording?
Yes.
Cool.
I am the one with the mic that's in front of you.
Yeah, that's true. Josh is the one that does the mic stuff, and the recording stuff, and all of the stuff. What about you, Rory?
Did you guys ever watch Sing?
Sing.
That shitty, Illumination movie with the animals and the singing. The koala in it.
That sounds like a cult. I've never seen it.
I've seen an advert for it, but no.
Did you remember there was an elephant?
No.
Ellie Elephant. It was the one character that was such done by.
Was it a female?
It was a female.
I'm triggered.
Yeah,
is this an analogy that you're getting onto?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Go on.
The thing is, she was really shy, so she used to sing ears in front of her. I want to be become a big open singer, but not a singer, but a talker.
Oh, so it's she's this super shy character that...
Super shy elephant. It has to be an elephant. Why not?
Oh, because we're all elephants. Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
Not elephants. We're talking about
Now
humans.
let's get to the elephant in the room.
Are you calling me fat? Yeah, but basically, this podcast is kind of techie because we all do computer science. We all like techie subjects. That's what we can talk about. We can't talk about anything else. No, but
be sure to catch us next week when we program some elephants.
Oh yes, elephant is my favorite programming language.
Please tell next year when you make your programming language, please call it elephant.
Elephant. I was planning to call it Bulgarian, because
that's already a language.
I've been told that I can make it entirely in Cyrillic, so it will just be.
Well, surely anything in Unicode would work. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell you what, I'll call mine elephant.
Yeah, as long as one of you two do. I called mine RS because my name is Rory and my partner's name is Sasha.
Yeah,
RS.
The context of this is that in your second year, you come up with a programming language, in the University of Southampton, in the computer science course, which is what we're all doing.
In the City of England.
In the City of England, yeah. But what I was saying is that this podcast is personality based, so if you don't like the podcast, we could just say that you don't like our personality, and that's why you didn't like the podcast.
Which is okay, because...
It's A-okay.
It's not okay.
We
that
love
hurts
the
our
haters.
feelings.
We don't have feelings, we do computer science.
I have feelings.
I personally don't.
You just sound pretty dead inside right now, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know. I've been told I'm text-to-speech.
I mean,
anyone in the comments say if I sound like text to speech.
It depends what you're talking about.
You know those pictures that but
it's not a no.
You know those pictures. You know those pictures that there's this a random thing that's a celebrity. Gotta be your voice next to Microsoft Sam.
Microsoft Sam. That's my street name. Microsoft Sam.
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 Som.
Microsoft Psalm.
Psalm.
Microsoft Psalm.
Microsoft Simon.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine that. Oh, blimey.
Oh,
Facebook is
blimey.
Oh, dear.
The other thing is, that's really obvious from the previous podcast, is that I'm very bad at segues. And speaking of segues, we really have to move on to the next topic. We don't really.
That was equally terrible to one of the other segues we have done.
I could just feel you reaching out, like it's mentally reaching out as I was turned away for a second there.
Oh, God.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, segueing from that,
Go on.
I want to talk about the Hyperloop. Do either of you know what the Hyperloop is?
No.
Is it a special kind of loop? Big loop, fast loop?
No, this is...
No, go on. Go on.
So you know SpaceX, you know Elon Musk.
You Reddit
Yeah.
boy, Elon Musk.
Beautiful European Elon Musk. I forgot which country
European.
he's from.
He's from Australia and Canada.
I could have sworn he was Swedish, but okay.
He is not.
Okay.
He's
I'll take that back then.
He's
not
beautiful
Iran.
enough to be Scandinavian.
He looks nothing like a Scandinavian person.
Moving on.
On the inside.
So, one of the things Elon Musk is doing, in addition to all of his other cool stuff, is a few years ago a paper was published about something called a Hyperloop. And basically, the idea is you have a tube, and in the tube you suck out most of the air, so it's a near vacuum, and then you travel through it. So obviously air causes drag.
Oh, is it like the vacuum train thing?
Yes, something similar to that.
Is it
Yeah.
a big space straw? Is this what this is?
I mean,
Well, it's
really,
not
no?
in space.
Goes horizontally.
Okay.
I don't think they've done much in the vertical sense yet. So recently what they've been doing is they've been running the Hyperloop competitions, which means that teams from all over the world get sponsored, and they develop vehicles which can go inside.
Okay.
Oh.
And the contest is basically who can do it faster, who can go faster,
Okay.
Ooh.
and who can... I mean, half the point is, by the end of it, you should have a really cool transportation system. I think the figure that they've quoted is that when it's complete, the goal is LA to San Francisco, which is 350 miles in 35
Wow.
minutes.
Okay.
So it's 600, 700 miles an hour averages, which is...
So these vehicles they're building, have they got to be tested of human pilots? Or into pilots for passengers?
I assume so, yes, but that would be a long time in the future.
Okay.
Currently, they don't really have space for passengers.
In our lifetime? Is it in our lifetime scale?
Yes, it is kind of next decade or 2 decades kind of scale.
I don't see what would deter me from Ryanair at the moment, but go on.
So the idea is it's faster than planes and trains and boats.
Oh.
But boats
It's
are cool.
cheaper than
It's
planes
cheaper.
and trains and boats.
Boats are
Because
cool.
the point is it's really, really, really efficient.
How much cheaper can it get than Ryanair?
Well, I suppose that's the benchmark, isn't it?
But then
That-
Ryanair...
If you're cheaper
benchmark.
than Ryanair,
Yeah, but...
you got it. You've
See,
done
but
it.
the thing is, there's two things there. First of all, Ryanair would just go cheaper, surely. They would
Yes.
literally just say, like, you can all just lay on the floor in a big buffer file. You can have it for a fire, you just go.
They put you in a big bag and they just fire you out of a cannon in the rough direction of the city you're going to.
We will fire you into from a cannon into the sun.
And eventually you'll get to where you're going.
Yeah, and surely it is get to a point where it's a monopoly, and we have laws against monopolies. I mean, when would you get to a point where like it's a developed thing? But then you have to have brands of maybe not Hyperloop, but brands of like Hyperloop style travel. So Ryanair has its own Hyperloop kind of transit. Like say, like you build the rails, as it were, or the tubes. You have to rent those out like the UK does of its rail system, but like on a global scale.
I haven't actually thought of that. Go on.
So, like, like, obviously, about monopolistic laws. Like, there's a whole thing of Rupert Murdoch and Sky at the moment because of the whole...
Is it? Okay.
I'm not sure if it's still going on. I always remember there's a thing, like, he was trying to buy Sky, but it's very awkward because he might have a monopoly on...
He would.
Yeah.
100% would.
Yeah, and obviously if you have a monopoly, like some places in America, like cable companies, you don't have an incentive to improve. Shout out to all our American listeners
Hey.
on their Comcast internet who
I
have no
can't
choice
think
to
of
go
a
to.
single American person other than famous people. Go on.
So like in areas where they only have like one cable company, where there's basically a monopoly, they don't have any incentive to improve, so they still have shit internet.
Aww.
Eventually, Google will get to us all.
Yeah,
I'm
obviously-
okay if Google has a monopoly because they're good at improving stuff.
Yeah, but will they still stay benevolent? Will they not suddenly think, "Oh, I'll go monopoly now"? Can't.
Don't know. Let's find out.
competition is what makes things good. Even if Google becomes a monopoly, they're gonna become bad
Yeah.
just because they're a monopoly. It's just how things work. I've studied this. I have a degree in
Bullshit.
Bullshit.
yeah.
Where are your sources?
I wasn't going anywhere with that, by the
Reference
way.
yourself.
Give me the IEEE citation
Yeah,
now.
that's the thing. I can only reference myself. All my references are what you call
Setting
it?
your own quotes.
Yeah.
Is that the Alex Jones method of referencing?
What? Who's Alex Jones?
Do you not heard of Alex Jones?
I've probably heard of what he's done, but
He's a conservative talk host in America. I forget what the show he does is called, but he does some weird fucking rants.
That's
Okay.
great.
that's great.
Have you ever heard the line about something in the water tone, the freaking frog's gay? Have you heard that meme?
No.
Something in the water turning frogs gay.
Yes. That was an Alex Jones rant. Like, he was legitimately getting vitriolic about something about frogs being gay. I don't I honestly don't remember the quote. I'm sorry, I failed this meme, but you look it up and it's pretty funny.
Okay.
That
Yeah,
sounds pretty.
I found it on Reddit earlier as a random comment. That's how you know it's a meme.
Ah.
Find his random comments on Reddit.
Yeah. Going back to the topic, where would you want to have one of these hyperloops if they did get developed, and would you use it?
Intercontinental.
Yes.
Which
From-
continents?
Europe to America, North and South, Antarctica and the Arctic.
Why?
Yeah, you wouldn't really need them just to go to the North Pole. No one lives there.
No
I
one,
guess
live,
if
no
we-
one lives there, but
if
you still
we
got
move to the
researchers
North Pole.
constantly going there and back, don't you?
But that's a very small number of people.
So,
Don't
for
think
a
it's
very expensive infrastructure. So it
Exactly.
might be cheap to travel, etc. But just to
build a tube
build
long
it,
enough.
it's gonna be
well, then it becomes a case of cost and return, doesn't it? How long will it take for it to pay for itself?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For the North Pole, it's not gonna pay for itself.
Yeah, I don't think so.
You don't know. We're
Sorry,
still developing it.
for all the listeners on the North Pole. You're not gonna get the hyper tube.
Don't forget to wrap up warm. It's a bit nippy out there.
Yeah.
Okay, final vote. Personally, yes, would want anywhere, everywhere. Rory, would you use it? Yes or no?
I have a question. I was thinking about this earlier. I didn't know it was a stupid question, but no stupid questions. What is the effect of what's the G-force effect on the person? If you're going that fast, what's the actual G effect?
Don't know yet.
Exactly. So
They haven't got it anywhere near those kinds of speeds yet.
exactly. So I imagine at those kind of speeds, the amount of G's that are affecting a person would just be too high. Maybe you black out. I'm not sure, maybe not like extremely high, but like it'd be taxing. You'd age like 10 years going on one journey.
I mean, that's something they can control. I mean, it'll make it slower, but
Yeah, but then
slower is better if people use it.
Yeah,
so-
but will it still be as efficient, sort of thing?
Oh yeah, like the efficiency shouldn't change too much.
I know, but is it? It's just, you still say too much.
Look, it's in development. We don't know. Would you use it hypothetically?
If I didn't pass up from the G-forces, I guess.
Okay, right.
So for all of these Elon Musk things, it's the same with everything else. Like, in theory, it sounds amazing. In practice, it's probably going to be pretty amazing, but we just don't know at this point. And obviously, if it actually works out as planned, everyone would use it because it's cheaper and better, and everything is better about it. So if it's cheaper than Ryanair, I will use it. If it's not, I'm sorry.
Fair enough.
Ryanair is the best.
So obviously, all these Hyperloop things will need a lot of code to keep everything running the way it should be. Which gets on to our third point. Rory, you have a a topic to talk about, I believe.
That was an okay segue.
Yes!
I was looking at you starting. I was like, oh god, here comes the segue, boys. So last
Segue games on point.
I aged 5 years there from that segue. So last week we were talking about programming languages, and the topic came up about VB and .NET and about how they do their GUI generation. A lot of the code is self-generated in the forms, is how they do it, or maybe like in Swing. If the equivalent would be like Swing or JavaFX in Java, of course, or whether
Like WYSIWYG software.
yeah, basically. And I'm of the mind this kind of code generation, automatic code generation in particular, is bad. Now, before I carry on, what do you think of automatic code generation?
I think it depends what it's generating. If it's basic stuff which is just laborious, go for it. If it's anything more than that, I might start to get worried.
Alright, okay, define... Okay, so I'm of the mind that it doesn't... okay, nice signal there, friendo. Right,
Yeah,
what do you think of automatic
Yeah.
code generation?
The signal was just to kind of alert Rory to the fact that he forgot the female in the room. I'm sorry. I'm a computer scientist myself.
Whoa!
Rare breed.
So yeah,
Got a unicorn here, lads. Don't let this one go.
it's gonna be hard for me to focus on the question because I'm pretty triggered. But so I think code generation is great. No, it's not. It's not. At this point, from what I've seen, like automatically generated code is just not as good as human generated code by like an adequate human. So if it gets better, I think unfortunately or arguably it's good, but anyway, that's the future. That's how it's gonna be. So yeah.
Okay, so I'm of two minds of this. I agree with Josh to a point where like little snippets here and there, like little basic constructs are fine because they're very atomic. They're very axiom. Like there's very very little things that you can't really go wrong with. You can't really write them wrong. So
Yeah.
you might as well just write the same way. But when you get to stuff like GUI generation, that's where it gets iffy. Because in like say in Visual Basic, you're creating a GUI. And you load up your project, you got a nice little window, you drag some controls on, you double click, you get your functions, your button functions, and it's all fine. But then you move on to something else. Like, I'm thinking of something like a learning perspective. Then you go on to Java, and you're like, okay, there's no drag and drop window, I have no code here, what the fuck do I do? Sort of thing. And then you're kind of dead in the water. And to get to the internal code of a VB, like a .NET, GUI, at least Visual Basic, and I think C#, I don't remember. At least in Visual Studio, is not like the easiest thing.
What to get into the automatically generated code and
So like,
modify things.
so in Visual Studio, if you double click on the window, it's actually no, double clicking on the window it generates a function of itself. But that's a quick way to get into the code, like the event-driven code.
Yeah.
Codes, functions like buttons, like changing text fields, stuff like that. But to get into the kind of Java-like code, where it actually you create the window class, where you actually instantiate the controls as objects.
Yeah.
You place them on the window, that kind of thing. You have to kind of go a bit of a roundabout way, I think. And that's the sort of basic thing you have to do in like most other languages. And I think I guess it's fine if you never plan on using anything else. But in this kind of society, we're kind of trying to push more younger people to code, with being introduced in younger stages of schooling. I think it's quite dangerous, and it might breed ignorance. That's all.
Oh yes, definitely. I think because that's how I was, quote unquote, taught VB in school, was using WYSIWYG and then going into events, and I just didn't retain anything. Because it's just dumb. Drag and drop. Like in uni, they just made us learn so much of the background ugly stuff that in the end, it just made it so much easier afterwards.
Well, I wouldn't say ugly stuff. It's just the stuff. It's
yeah.
Yeah, it's just the standard stuff you have to do, but you kind of then perceive it as ugly because it's like, oh, I have this nice interface, and you go, oh, it's all there for me, and then it's like, oh, it's suddenly gone.
Yeah.
And obviously there are, like for Java, there are drag and drop interfaces, but they're not the best, especially in like Swing where you have like layout managers.
Yeah, for anyone that's gonna be in their first year or whatever. Anyone
in your respective university where you may not completely do or not what we do.
Yeah, if you need to work with Swing for some reason, first of all, Swing is obsolete. Second of all, there is a plugin for Eclipse that has a WYSIWYG interface for Swing, but it's bad. It's usable, but it's bad. But in general, I don't think there's any good way of developing Swing anything.
Swing is beautiful. I love Swing. I'm not going to get into this. I'm not getting onto this. But I love me some good old Swing. And I've looked at JavaFX, and I don't want to touch JavaFX. I like Swing. I know how to do Swing.
I've always believed
sorry.
With like anything, with programming or maths or languages or science. I don't know. If you learn like the content, then you can pass exams. You can do stuff in it. But if you learn like how everything works behind the scenes, then it just makes life so much easier when you're getting into higher level stuff, when you're actually progressing in your learning it rather than just learning to an exam and then forgetting everything immediately afterwards. It actually becomes a skill as opposed to just knowledge that trickles out the back of your head eventually.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think sort of graphic representations, which I think that's what Scratch is. I've never actually seen Scratch, but sort of a graphic, like drag and drop kind of thing could be good for grasping concepts like loops and if statements if you just represent them graphically and then you move on to just write them in code. But if you use drag and drop for actual GUI components and then you go into events, etc., that's just bad in my opinion.
The difference is the amount of atomicity there is to it. Because even with Scratch, when you can drag and drop and it's basic as that, that's just like the lowest you can get. You can't then suddenly unravel Scratch and then program in like the behind, I guess, whatever that block represents in Scratch sort of thing. That's just it. A lot of like with other GUI things. Another code, like automatic code generation things. I'm not sure. GUI is the easy one I thought of. But if you like have not like functions. I don't know. It's kind of like if you have like a common construct that's a bit more complicated than the if statement I was talking about earlier, and you automate that, and then like you don't explain it sort of thing. Then it's like I don't know.
Yeah, I think with that kind of thing, the more complicated the actual object or whatever is, the exponentially more shit results from automating code and then having to go into it.
Yeah, but then that gets into like how well you designed your classes. If you stuck to the one function principle or whatever the fuck it's called.
Whatever.
Where all the functions done by the class is meant to every class, every function does like one thing.
Oh, right.
So again, you get to that more atomicity.
Atomistic.
Yeah, atomistic nature of functions where like so they're very base level. They're very. I'd say to the metal. I'd say to the metal, but they're not because obviously it's still a high level language. But even then,
yeah.
But like within the language itself, I guess. This is what I think.
We should all just learn to code and not try to use WYSIWYG for code generation. You have convinced me that code generation is dumb. But I think
in instances it can be useful, as Josh pointed out. But I think as a sort of learning tool and maybe like learning a system is kind of stupid. I think.
I guess it kind of ties into artificial intelligence. That if code generation for languages like Java or C++ or whatever, if it becomes better, then there's just going to be another layer on top. Like the way we have assembly language and then some language and then something and then Java. No one like, we don't bother with assembly because we don't need to, so eventually we might not need to bother with Java. Hopefully we don't need to bother with Java at all, and it's not in any layer of it.
But yeah. Well, first of all, we still probably do need assembly. We always will need assembly.
Yeah, I know, but we, like, most people don't have to personally deal with assembly.
As
You know what I
software
mean?
developers.
Yeah.
As opposed to hardware.
Yeah.
Focused.
Like, there is
I guess it depends on your role, but I guess.
Because, I think... I'm not really knowledgeable, but I think earlier on more people were probably involved with lower level languages, and they've just been climbing up, and I just think that's probably what's gonna continue on happening as a trend.
So will it get to a point in the future where we can say, write a program that does this, and you just get a program that does what you want?
Yeah, I think with the...
Isn't that called it's a synthetic programming language, I think it's called.
It's a thing.
I believe so, if I remember
Wow.
correctly. Like, obviously, I don't think... I forget what it's called, but it's like what Fortran is, where, like, you write down the specifications and it does it for you. I don't think it's Fortran, or Prolog?
Prolog? That's a language.
I'm not sure it's the right language I'm thinking of.
I don't know, it's a language. That's all I know.
Everything is a programming language. Just pick a random word, it's probably a programming language.
Elephant.
Elephant.
That will be soon.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned, lads and ladettes.
Speaking of elephants...
Elephants do breathe, if that's what you're getting at.
The next topic
It's not about
is
elephants.
not about elephants, but it's just as frustrating.
Elephants aren't frustrating.
Well, they probably are in some way. But what I'm trying to say is that the next topic is frustrating. So, when I watched this video, like a week ago,
Link in the description.
Link in the show notes, yeah.
in the show notes,
Schnotes.
I immediately got triggered, so I had to watch all of it. So, it's a channel that I enjoy very much usually. The channel Thought2, which is pronounced like 42.
Shout out to 420.
42.
Yeah, but
Oh dear.
the guy seems really smart. But this video just rustles my jimmies. Let me tell you. Let me explain. I have notes. We just watched it again so that I could get fired up again.
For
but
context,
I have notes.
For context, we don't have notes. We're improv, I guess.
The rest of the team doesn't have notes, but I myself took notes because I'm so triggered. Okay. So, the premise of the video is that modern music is bad, and here's why. Or more like, why is modern music so bad? Because we all know that obviously music nowadays is objectively worse than music from the past.
I don't think he was trying to say obviously. He put forward his case.
Okay, let's see. That's the first question. What do we think about modern music versus not so modern music?
I think, depending on the genre, different genres have progressed in different ways. So, pop music, as in stuff that's just in the charts, in my opinion, is basically stagnated. But then, while that's stagnated, it's generated a load of other genres. And then if you look at other things like the classical scene, those are always developing. I mean, it may not be the most entertaining stuff to listen to, but it's changing at least.
And it's pleasant.
It is
Generally.
Generally
Generally speaking.
Yeah, Rory?
I'm in a sort of my own bubble because I'm a video game nerd and I don't listen to video game music. Just any time, I guess. I don't really keep up with any music.
Oh, so you only listen to video music?
I'm not like super like rigid about it. I will listen to other stuff, but I'll tend to listen to the same stuff. So
That's
I don't really tend to advance beyond what you hear in public, which I guess would be the stuff. But I know that I like the stuff I listen to. Anything else is kind of incidental, you kind of hear it.
So you don't have an opinion on modern music versus old music because you don't listen to either, and you listen to video game music.
I guess I did before. Video games were like, you could listen to the music for it more often. I would have listened to older stuff, but then obviously as I went on, what you did, any modern stuff is what you hear when you're out, or if you go clubbing, is just what you go out. I choose to listen to the older and video game stuff. I don't tend to listen to newer stuff.
But do you have an opinion on the question? That was a very lengthy way to say no. I don't have an opinion. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing that triggered me immediately when I heard it was, it sounds. This is what makes him sound convincing: is we have scientific research to prove that modern music is objectively worse than old music.
Okay, this was the thing that triggered me from when you were watching it earlier. This sounds like the whole. If you're from the UK, you'll remember this. The whole Michael Gove, we don't need any experts. Blah 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 blah. We're all done with experts. That sort of thing. I'm not saying he's an expert on the field. He's not PhD 420 42. PhD. I apologise to Mr.
The University of Means.
Yes, I apologise, but he's at least using studied effects to explain his kind of reasonings behind.
Yes, that is why it triggers me, is because I am all for research and all for backing up all of your claims with science. But in this case, he quoted two studies.
It's more than two.
Well, two major studies for two of his arguments. But it doesn't... If you're actually critical towards what he's saying, it's not convincing. Because most people, when they hear there's been a study, they just go, oh yeah, so it's true. But if you actually think of it critically, he doesn't have any solid proof for what he's saying. Because this is something he started with, was research. So I expected to have research all throughout, because he's usually a very, scientific guy. But for most of his claims, it was just his theories, in my opinion.
I think you gotta think about this in two ways. I haven't listened to his other stuff, to be honest. What does he normally talk about this kind of stuff often? This kind of music scene?
No.
What's his other kind of videos on?
Well, he has, it's all sorts of education. What was the word?
Education.
No, not education. Edutainment, exactly, yeah. So it's like old buildings or something, society,
okay, so
something.
I guess if you were just browsing YouTube and you saw this video on music, I don't know, you may not be that... I'm very generalizing, it's a very dangerous thing to do. But I would say you may not be, attuned to, that kind of research. I mean, maybe more so because that's the kind of content he's pushing towards.
Yeah.
But it's a sort of subject area where you'd be, I don't know, less bound to run into kind of research. You don't think of music in that sort of scientific way. It's a more of a creative, emotional sort of thing.
Exactly, because it's a creative and emotional thing, and he's kind of... It's just, I've encountered so many people like that, and if anyone listening is like that, I automatically hate you.
Wow.
But
so what she's saying is, fuck off from our podcast.
Yes,
Go away.
Go away. No, what I'm talking about is people that like old music, which is amazing. Good job, guys. Old music is amazing. He obviously likes the Beatles a lot. The Beatles are great.
Triggered.
But people that just think that old music is good and music nowadays is not good when they don't actually listen to modern music and they haven't looked for good artists. That triggers me. It grinds my gears. You can tell. Yeah.
There's a second thing I was going to mention that you really didn't get to, is the whole thing about this research thing. I mean, you're saying about you can't prove it, but if these are scientifically found, like, effects that you're talking about, I think one of them was the... What was the one you was talking about with the listening to stuff a lot?
Oh, what is that? The
Mere
exposure
Yeah, mere
effect.
exposure effect, yes. So that would have been, scientifically researched and tested. It would have been peer-reviewed in a paper. And obviously you got to think of... Obviously, science is just peer-reviewed, accepted knowledge that, can be, disputed later. You just kind of accept it as truth, but you can't accept it as the absolute truth. You can't say that about anything.
Yeah.
So there's a point you got to think, oh, this sort of thing he's talking about, it makes sense. It's a scientifically proven thing.
Yes, but in this case, sorry, Josh, I'll let you speak just in a second. But specifically for the mere exposure thing, I believe that's obviously true. Mere exposure does make you conditioned to things, but it's not scientifically proven that the music industry exposes you to specific things and they have that kind of control and that results in you liking music. He cannot make that claim, in my opinion. Yes, Josh.
I think an important thing to note is that it's difficult to look at music objectively. So they say this scientific study proves that modern music is worse. They could say it's different, because it is. That's a fact.
Yes.
The evidence is that it's different. It's changed, and the evidence is that it may all be quite similar.
Yes.
I'll completely agree with that, but I wouldn't say that makes it objectively worse than older music.
Yes.
Those two things are not one and the same.
Was he saying it was worse? I think he
Yes.
was more saying it was more...
It's in the title of the video.
It's in the title of the video.
Oh, yeah.
The title of the video is "Why is modern pop music so bad?"
I think a big part of that, though, was that it was becoming more homogenized, which you were saying with the prevalence of the millennial whoop and the mere whoop. A whoop. Well, I say whoop because why not?
Because you speak properly.
Yeah, exactly. English good. But yeah, that kind of thing. I think that was more... It was more like, because of the homogenization, it's becoming less bad. Whereas in the past, there was less of that.
Well,
Wait, are you saying that doesn't objectively make it worse? I can see that could be a factor.
okay. One of the examples of what to me is just kind of BS was this whole thing about how the Beatles used to have these amazing songs with all those little beautiful details that you could hear, and how they played with a huge orchestra, and this was pop music at the time, and now pop music is just a synthesizer. And that, from a musical perspective, I have some limited musical knowledge. All of us have some musical knowledge, but to think that having an orchestra plus the Beatles is you can distinguish every instrument. That's just not true. People listening to that will not distinguish the difference. And also thinking that music that's only a synthesizer, that's just also kind of BS. But thinking that electronic music is automatically less complex is just a common misconception of people that like acoustic music. Yeah, it's just not true.
There's almost an argument that it's more complex.
Yes.
Because it's typically only done by one person. That's one person who understands everything that's going on. As opposed to an orchestra, which is basically group knowledge
Yeah.
coming together to make one thing rather as...
It's different types of complexities. And with electronic music, you got to have... Well, first of all, there's got to be an artistic reason. I guess if you're writing your own music, let's forget the whole argument he made for a second. Let's put it to the side about the whole one songwriter writing all this music, right? Imagine we got two songwriters. One of them's... he's got a songwriter. It's going to be an artistic choice between using, acoustic set and electric set, using an orchestra, using just a regular band, using a big band, full orchestra, part orchestra, maybe one violin, or double bass, that kind of thing. Or by doing it with synthesizers, or using a mix. I know back in college, I was recording a live version of Green Day's Way Away, and that has a violin in it, right? But just we made the decision to do it using a synthesizer. I think in that case it was more practical, but it was still an artistic. We could have gone the mile and found a violinist in some capacity to do it for us. But everything's got like an artistic decision behind it, assuming a competent, songwriter.
Yes, I agree. That's another thing I wanted to kind of point out, that I see how having people perform something makes it better in a sense, because everyone adds their own kind of thing to it. But if you have fewer instruments, fewer tracks, or one person doing the entire thing electronically, it becomes more about the actual composition of it, which I like to an extent. I like listening to music because of the composition of it and not so much because of the performance. So it's just different kind of benefits to different things, and I don't think the video really showed understanding of that potential for music to sound less complex, but like the actual specifics of it might be what interests you. Yeah, whatever. Moving on.
There was a point I had about that. It was about the composition. I remember one of the things I remember learning about making, like especially with drums, when you're making electric drums, it's a sort, you got to kind of consider the live aspect of it as well. Like obviously it's an electronic drum kit, but if you're making sounds which sound, if you got like one drum kit, sounds like you got 5 fucking feet, right? Like it might sound cool, it might sound like complexity, right? But it's sort of weird in that sense. You got 5 feet, it's just a bit weird in that sort of way.
I'm fine with something sounding like you have 5 feet.
I'm not.
Maybe you have 3 drummers.
Yeah. Some people do.
Well,
no.
Yeah.
No, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Another thing that really triggered me was about the lyrics, about how lyrics used to be, and that comes up so often, how lyrics used to be so smart in the middle of the last century, and now it's just bitches on the beaches.
I can confirm this is a thing because my dad only listens to sad love songs now.
Sad love songs. What kind of sad love songs? Adele. Oh, yeah.
Like that kind of thing,
Perfect counter
all
example.
my-
Who's that girl who did Jar of Hearts? That song? You can't
What?
Christina Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera.
What, Hearts? What? Sorry?
Jar of Hearts.
Oh, Jar. Okay.
I don't think that's the song. That's the one line I remember for it, so I just assume that's what the name of the
Yeah,
song
that's
is.
what the song's called.
Huh.
You know what? Okay. But yeah,
Okay.
whoever did that, that kind of thing.
Wait, I didn't finish. I'm sorry. I'm talking so much, but this is just something I'm passionate about. But let me just remind you of something obvious that you should know. One of the reasons that the Beatles were revolutionary was because of their dumb lyrics. If you listen...
Whoa.
Let her finish.
Let me finish. I'm not saying by any means that all of their lyrics are dumb, but they were revolutionary in that they didn't always feel the need to have really complex lyrics. So it could just be la 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 la, whatever. Whereas before them, you could say Frank Sinatra, for example, was really huge, and all of his lyrics are just a work of art. They're like poems. And the Beatles are a bit more chill, and that's a good thing. But some of their lyrics, if you listen to them, they sound so dumb. And that's fine. It's not all about complexity, once again. Yeah.
Are you done?
I
Yes,
think...
sorry.
Okay. Whoa.
Going back.
Right, so I think the difference is that if you at the end of the day, Beatles was essentially a boy band, right? But the difference is obviously some of their songs had the dumb love song stuff, which is all right, but then all the other stuff was sort of like Savoy Truffle, that like from the White Album. That was a bit of a obscure song.
I feel like wait, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you there. I feel like we're using different definitions of dumb. I was more thinking we all live in a yellow submarine. Yellow submarine.
It's
submarine.
not dumb. It's surreal, psychedelic.
Yeah.
It's not.
But it's definitely different from like poetic kind of love song kind of things, which are basically like taking a poem which someone's written and then singing it, as opposed to making a song and then putting some words to it.
Yeah.
It's which one comes first.
Mm.
By the way, I wasn't aware that the Beatles were video game music.
The old music. I said I listen to old music as well, fam. Can you not?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I would. I play the Beatles rock band. Video game music. There you go.
I think my overall opinion on the whole matter is every argument that any side has, you can always find a counterexample in every period in every genre.
Yes.
It's because you can always find a counterexample, then surely no one can really express an opinion on music because there's too much variety over the whole thing. I mean, no one knows everything, and most of what people know can probably counterexample what they're saying.
And if not, you can write something to counterexample it.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It may not be popular counterexample, but it then physically exists in entropy, sort of.
I definitely think there is a thing about popular music being mass-produced and not having any kind of soulfulness, etc. But claiming that it's bad that popular music is like as bad as it is means that you're not looking for music at the right places. Like if you want to find good music, you're not going to go on the Billboard Top 40. That's just fact. And the fact that we have more of the same doesn't mean that we have less diversity overall. So the fact that he's only looking at the most generic music means that he's ignoring all the improvements that have happened in the non-mainstream field, which is where intelligent people should be looking by default. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Come at us, Professor 7x6.
That went right over my head.
Professor 42.
Oh.
This is our YouTube diss track. Come at us.
Let me look at my notes and see if
we appreciate. It's a good video. We like your content. Please don't sue us.
Yeah, you're a great channel. You're not going to sue us because no one's going to listen to this.
We never used it, so it's okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if I have any more things that majorly triggered me.
Everything.
Yeah, the brainwashing thing. So that is something that I expected to see supposed proof of, but he didn't quote anything. So the argument that if you don't listen to something the first time you hear it, if you don't like something the first time you hear it, it's not a good song. That's so primitive in my opinion.
I think brainwashing is just a bad. It's not. It's not the right word. I think it's close, depending because of like the amount of influence the music industry has on obviously you gotta pitch music to a radio station. This is the kind of music you want to put out there. It's at some point, and then obviously then when movies want to put music in their movie, they want to discover not an original score, just a soundtrack movie. They got to pick their tracks, and they might have a deposition or whatever the word is to more modern music. So in that case, you do hear it more, and then that effect, which I still
mere exposure
does come into effect, and then it is sort of like brainwashing because they're putting out there more. But I think brainwashing is a weird word to use. Yeah. It's close, but I don't think it's not just right.
Yeah, I think the mere exposure effect applies to so many things.
Yes.
I'm sure the first time that anyone ate, I don't know,
pasta,
some insert item here of food or wine,
pasta
or drink or
pasta.
Okay, pasta.
Yay!
I'll accept that. You probably didn't like it, but not that you remember that because it's just part of our life now. It's what you like is what you eat.
I would say a more complex way to generalize this issue, which is just overly generalized, is to say that they don't brainwash you to like a specific thing, but they take what most people like and they just blast it, and as a result, people that could have a different taste from the masses might end up being conditioned to like what everyone else likes. But it's not like they specifically want you to like what's the most convenient for them to make. They do analyze what people like, and then they blast it. And it's not just the music, that's just a general thing in advertising and also sorts of media. Yeah.
I think we've covered that pretty nicely.
To death.
Pretty extensively.
Yeah. We've already talked about it for half an hour, it's okay.
Yeah. Even now I'm
This
sick-
is our
I'm sick
PhD
of this.
thesis on... I can't think of any witty names.
I would seriously do a PhD on this. I'm so triggered.
Do
so
a whole
triggered
different
I'm doing
degree.
a
that.
PhD.
Don't do that. No one will be...
Yeah, actually, don't waste a PhD on that. It's not worth your time.
I'm not going
Don't
to.
waste a third-year project on that. It's not worth it.
Okay, so now, apparently we have a different rant from Rory that we don't know about yet.
It's not even like a big rant. It's just something I was thinking of as I came in. We started talking about music. Do you know what I miss? A-B repeat.
What's A-B
Right
repeat?
over our heads.
You youngins.
I'm the same age as you.
You're not.
Yes, I am.
Shit.
I'm
Not
a
not
year
in a month's
older.
time. Not in 2 months' time. You won't be.
Oh yeah, I'm not. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Exactly. You're not
Yeah.
in my ear. Get.
Sorry.
Get.
Carry on.
So like A/B repeat would be like you listen to a track, you listen to an audio file or whatever. I think it still exists probably like in some things. I don't think I've ever really seen it. You set a point, so you set your A point, then you set B point, and then it loops between A and B. So so then you set B, then it goes back to A, and then plays on, goes back to B, goes back to A, keeps. It's basically think of it like creating a new audio file, and then looping between the 2 points.
Yeah.
It's what you
Is
do
that-
when you sing a song to yourself.
Sort of. You think of it like singing the same section. Think of it like looping a track as like an A/B repeat on the whole track. But like,
Yes,
imagine it as
yeah.
like a smaller chunk.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
what you're talking about, but what about A-B repeat?
I miss it.
You miss it.
I miss it. I don't see it enough.
You don't. Where would you expect to see it?
iPod. I don't. Oh, iPhone.
Ah.
Alright, so there probably is an app for it. It may be in native software. I haven't been on the music app that often, so if it is in there, I apologise. I rescind my comment.
Doubt it is.
It's
But
probably not.
but from my memory, they do not have A/B repeat, and I think even if it's like a niche thing, I think it'd be appreciated.
I can't think of anyone else that would want that, but I fully respect you because I have the same kind of weird ideas that I want.
It's not like a weird idea. It's an established thing.
It's an established thing when
It's
you're
got its own
editing
name,
a
A/B
track.
repeat. So
Is it like, do people actually want to listen to like a specific part of a song
Well,
if they're
imagine,
not
like, when
editing the song?
Well, if you're having to like appraise the song, appreciate the song, I guess is the term.
Appreciate those.
If
5
you're trying to
seconds of
listen
the
to,
song.
if you're trying to listen to something, say like there's a bit in a song like you try and hear one of these nuances we were talking about, right? And then you listen to it, and like
Oh.
instead of having to keep clicking back or something, you can just put an A/B repeat between like 2 points, and you kind of hear it really, really quickly. It also applies to video. It's not just music. You can put it to video as well. So like you can.
I can see why that can be useful, but it is more than a stone's throw away from mainstream, I think.
Yeah, it's one of those things that people don't. If it's really as useful as you say it is, because I just haven't tried it, then people just don't know they need it. So if they introduce it, it could just be the new big thing, but no one is going to.
Well, I don't know. I think it used to be a thing more. I think I remember seeing it on like cassette tape players.
Oh.
I think. I maybe probably get a wrong memory, but I remember it being a decently like implemented thing.
I don't see how it would happen on cassette tapes.
I don't.
There'd have to be a pause between it, but
Maybe.
winds everything back.
I'm maybe thinking of CDs, like old
Yeah.
like old CD players.
Yeah,
I think
I think I remember.
I just remember it and I miss it. I don't know. I just had a thought and I was thinking it needs to come back.
I'll tell you what. Your homework for this week is to find an A/B repeat website or something.
You can't give me homework. What are you doing? I give you homework.
It's optional homework.
I
Yeah.
don't wanna.
Optional
don't do it.
homework is the same as lack of homework,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah. I don't suppose there's an app for it, just because I haven't seen it used outside of editing software. But it's something that someone could do. Someone in the comments make an app.
I still think it has historical, like, my brain's
Significance.
It's nostalgic.
So, yeah, historical significance in that it should still exist. If not just for us, the nostalgia. Look, in our new iPhone 42. Hey, 42. Reference? 42. I literally just thought it off the top of my head. Our iPhone 42, we're bringing the AB repeat back in the year 4200.
Yeah. That's,
Why not?
If we're still alive in the year 4200, then that would mean that Elon Musk was right.
Great.
Wait.
Great.
I think
great.
it's time for the fun section.
It's time for 3, 2. No. So the fun thing that we have today is a cookie taste test. Which cookies do we have, Josh?
We have Sainsbury's. Taste the difference. 4. I count them 1, 2, 3. 4 salted caramel and Belgian milk chocolate cookies.
Okay, but this is not just... It's not a normal taste test. It's an ASMR taste test. So now let's open the packaging together.
That is way too close to the mic.
Let's rip the packaging open.
It's got weird.
I've been listening to a lot of ASMR. Time to take out the first cookie. And it goes to Rory. Here you go, mate. Second one goes to Josh. Here you go, mate. Third one goes to me. Thank you. Okay. That concludes the
That's a good
ASMR.
cookie, mate.
I want
yeah.
to dissociate myself with this podcast at this point.
Yeah, okay. That was a bit extreme. I'm sorry.
There's nothing wrong with ASMR.
That just completely
There's nothing
changed
wrong
the
with
tone.
ASMR. No
Okay,
hate.
now it's time for us to shut up and try these.
I was so tempted to scream in the middle of that while you're doing your little crinkles.
Let out all the pain.
Yeah.
What was that?
What was what?
That was a good sound. Speaking of good, these cookies, man. This is some good cookie edge.
I feel like
Again.
I can't taste anything other than just sugar.
Sainsbury's, not basic. Sainsbury's, taste the difference. 4 salted caramel and Belgian milk chocolate cookies. Damn!
If you donate to this podcast, we will continue our Taste the Difference ratings. Otherwise,
yeah.
we'll move on to basics.
Become our...
So guys, I hope you liked our first Taste the Difference review. We plan to do more of these weekly. please subscribe and like. It helps. Could we get 10 likes? Could we get 4 likes? 1 for each of these cookies.
I like
is-
each of these cookies.
That is a question. Who gets the last cookie?
It's not me. You guys can share it.
So I bought these because somehow there's a statute of limitations on Harry Potter spoilers.
Yes.
It's not apparently been passed for some fucking reason on the second book,
Yeah, so
Chamber of Secrets.
we were talking about Harry Potter for some reason.
And you fucked up the reference, and I got really confused.
Yeah, so I referenced one thing, and then Rory misunderstood the reference. So he
No, you misunderstood the reference.
no, you misunderstood the reference.
You referenced a character, and you both understood the reference from different points in the timeline.
Yeah, so I was talking about one event that this character had to do with, and then Rory thought I was talking about the death of said character. So he was like, "Are you talking about said character's death?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't know they died."
No,
So
'cause
no.
You referenced the date in which it would make most sense for them to have died at that point. Whereas if you wrote...
No.
Yes.
Go on.
You said is...
No.
Yeah,
Don't get too specific. I don't want to spoil it to all my...
You mean
friends.
everyone who hasn't seen the... Okay, maybe the last one. What's the statute of limitations on spoilers?
Don't spoil it. Because then you have to get everyone cookies, and we can't afford it.
Never discuss any fictional characters at any time to anyone, unless you know for a fact that they know what happens.
At least not the death of fictional characters.
Alright, I'm gonna say this is a spoiler warning. I'm just gonna throw that out there, because this is... I need to just talk this, because...
Spoiler warning for Harry Potter.
Chamber of Secrets and the Deathly Hallows. Part 1. Yes.
The Deathly Hellos.
Hello.
Right, so this is concerning Dobby, right? You said it's 2017. This is when Dobby will be free. So then, like, I didn't get it because you said 2017. Well, okay, it isn't 20. So it's like in the books, it's 1997. It's not the last.
I didn't say 2017.
You said in the next few days of this year.
So, basically, to explain the context, someone was asking, when are you guys free to do something? I think it was the podcast. But I was saying, at this time or on this day,
Yes. So
Dobby is free.
yeah, so that's what it was.
Referring to myself.
So you're saying about this. So this is currently September, right? Where in the books canonically, the I believe the first day is like the 1st of September or something like that.
Okay.
Right. But obviously in the 7th book, they don't go to school, do they? They do their own thing. They're searching for things. And then Dobby dies. But when you're saying Dobby's being free, that was at the end of the 2nd book. See, the end of the year. If you're talking about the end of a school year, that would be more July time, when the year ends and Dobby gets freed.
I think what's happened is you've completely overcomplicated this, Rory.
Yes.
I did not overcomplicate
That
it.
is precise. You
You
are
did.
explaining some random shit about start of the year, and then when the reference...
What you meant was Dobby was freed at some point in the Harry Potter series. That's
Yeah,
all it was.
maybe you
You
could have thought...
referenced... Yeah, but at that point you could have said he was free now. It just still doesn't make sense in the context of the reference.
You know the scene where Dobby says, Dobby is free? I was referring to the scene where Dobby says, Dobby is free. And that's why I said, Dobby is free.
Yeah, but you were saying
Please
that
stop
was
saying
going to
Dobby.
happen in September. It doesn't happen
By
until the
Dobby, I mean Dobby.
end of... Dobby.
I'm just a fan of Adobe. Adobe Photoshop.
So, no, it's because you said this was happening in September when it happens in the end of, like, a typical school year, which should have been June, July time.
Can we just leave this, please?
Yeah,
As
so
an
I'm
outsider,
angry.
I'm getting-
No, you know what, fuck this, I'm leaving. Fuck this.
Okay, Rory, let's agree to disagree with you.
See you again next week for anyone listening.
Ah!
Have we actually done that?
Yeah.
Great.